I may already be live. Well, hi there. Welcome everybody to our second ever live stream event and our first ever mail opening. It's been really cool seeing all your messages because a lot of you've been here waiting for like the last 45 minutes or an hour. I've actually been in this chair that whole time. We got me all framed up and it's like, well, here we are. And I'm here right now with Sunny, who you guys probably know from our banana ball python video and probably some of our other ball python genetics videos. He is one of my very favorite snakes. He's my daughter Penny's very favorite snake. And if you ask her what's your favorite animal, she'll say snakes. What kind of snake? Ball pythons. Which ball python? Sunny. Sunny's her very favorite, and I think for good reason. And Sunny has actually been one of my best breeders over the last couple seasons since he got up to size. And this season, I just recently had my first clutch of eggs hatch. They've actually just recently, all but one of them have had 2 meals, and one of them has only had 1 meal. And we're going to be revealing them in one of our upcoming videos very soon, along with a couple of other really, really exciting things that have happened to me. So stay tuned for that. I want to show you also. So this is Sunny, and this girl here, she needs a name. So if you've got some name ideas, I'd love to hear it. This is the mother of those babies, and she is a pastel leopard that I just adore. For one thing, she has like the widest head and just the widest body structure of any ball python I've ever seen for her length. I don't know what the deal is. I don't even know if you can quite tell so well through the video, but like if you look at how wide her head is, and then if I could get Sunny to look down like that, it'd be amazing. And then how wide his head is. It's just, her head is just broad and her colors are amazing. And I adore these 2 snakes. And I can tell you that the babies that they produced are on a completely other level altogether. They're just, I'm so excited to show them to you guys. It's been hard for me to avoid just posting picture after picture after picture because they're fun. They're real fun. But I should probably put at least one of them away so we can start answering a few of your questions. And I think Jason has one lined up for us.
Yes. Correct? So we initially requested of our patrons on Patreon to give us a handful of questions. They overwhelmed us with questions, but so we had to cherry pick a smaller handful of questions. So we'll go one at a time. This one's kind of a statement, but it got the most likes, so I'm gonna go with it anyways. It was by Wicked Wildlife.
Good name.
He says, and I'm gonna lay on the accent. Good day, Clint. A video, something like 5 pieces of advice for a young person wanting a career with exotic animals would be a great idea.
I agree. That is a great idea. And as somebody who did an undergraduate degree in zoology, I became very, very well informed about what you need to do for various different career paths. And I'm really glad that you're asking a question like that, because a lot of times people go to university and they know they want to study something that they think is cool, and they're not necessarily thinking about what career do they want. And so that is a great idea, and I'd be happy to talk about that and how I've arrived where I am. We should definitely do a video like that. Great idea.
So in the meantime, we got 2 super chats, which is exciting.
Super chats? Oh, super chat!
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
From Queen Cheetah 110, you rock, Clint. The snakes are beautiful.
Thank you. I'm overexposing them. I need to get them back here in my light. Look at how pretty they are.
And Brian Jeffrey, my son and daughter love your show. Please say hi to Watt and Fiona.
Watt and Fiona? Well, hi there. Thank you guys so much.
Okay.
This is the best. Oh,
So-
a letter?
A letter. The first letter we ever received.
The first letter. Okay, here's just a second. I'm going to move Sunny. Okay. And this is from.
I think it's just the address.
Okay. We shall find out. I will let you know. I have seen. Well, one of these things was delivered to me at the expo that I was at last week in person, and I wanted to show it to you because it is so rad. But I haven't seen any of this, so these will be my.
You probably shouldn't read every single one, but you should get a quick glimpse and then promise to read it later.
Okay. So I shouldn't read them on air.
Yeah.
This is just a really, really, really cool postcard with bodacious amphibians and a lizard, which looks to be a Tiad lizard to me, and a frog in a very precarious position. Do you see this frog dangling by 1 foot? That seems like a bad deal. And that's from Tim. Tim, I will read this whole thing later. You're awesome. Thank you so much, Tim.
Okay. Back to a patron question. Maxwell Lyman asks, how do you deal with negative interactions when doing demonstrations with live animals? When you do demonstrations and events where you present live animals to people, how do you deal with people who simply do not care for any directions you give them for interacting with animals? Do you experience these kinds of people often as an educator? What techniques, methods have you developed to deal with rude people who simply do not treat or respect the animals as you are presenting them?
That is a really good question. Whenever I do a presentation, I tell them that I have 2 rules. Okay? And one of them involves this rope. I lay out this rope, and they need to stay on the other side of that rope. And sometimes I'll bring the animals across the rope so that they can see them. But they know that rule number 1 is stay on the other side of the rope, and that the consequence for crossing the rope is that I'll have to put the animals away for their safety. And I established this up front. One really important thing when working with people is just to make sure that your expectations are clear in advance, and that they know what the consequences will be should your expectations be violated. My second one is just when I'm presenting to children. My guidance is to the parents that they don't worry too much about what their kids are doing, because I can manage them. Other than that, I've never really had people being disrespectful. I've had some people who are very, very afraid of snakes, and there are some cool things you can do to help with that. But overall, it's been really positive. I mean, at some point I would have to get the animal away from the person for the protection of the animal if they were being really, really disrespectful.
So we got a few more super chats.
Super chat!
I am going to butcher this name, and I apologize. Zifarnazos. Sorry. They say you should do a Tuatara video.
I have wonderful news. In the next couple of months, I'm going to get to go to New Zealand, and I will see what is possible when I get there. That would be so cool. So cool. So I'm right with you.
Wicked Wildlife, who was I
remember you.
The patron that I did an awesome accent.
Yeah.
He responded with, I don't exactly sound like
that. But pretty close.
Would be a great topic because I became a zookeeper through the job training rather than a degree.
Oh, yes. I will be totally honest with you. In a lot of ways, research experience or internships and that kind of thing are more valuable than your degree. So that's one of the tips I would include in a video about that. Is that, well, like at an AZA accredited zoo here in the United States, you need like 4 years experience in an AZA zoo to get a job in an AZA zoo. So you darn well better be interning there for free for years while you can afford to do that before you need a real big kid job.
And also Fraser Pickle Pie says,
best name ever.
Hey Clint, huge fan. Been looking forward to this.
Thank you, Fraser Pickle Pie.
Okay, this is
Next letter.
a letter from Justin H.
Justin. Oh boy. This is the best. All right. So first off, I've got a picture of, well, I got to get it where it's not overexposed. Henry's ball python. Your ball python looks beautiful. I would love to hear what morph that is. That actually looks a little bit like Sunny. It's got that same yellow as Sunny, but these other colors make it look a little bit maybe more like my female pastel leopard. Man, what a pretty snake. All right, next picture. Was drawn by Henry, and Henry is 5 years old.
It says tortoise.
That's your tortoise? That is. Oh, it's glorious. I see his head and his shell and his legs. You've even got some scoots on there. Those are some wonderful details. I love that, Henry. It looks like I got one more. Oh boy, this one's definitely a turtle. Let's see. You're only 2.5?
Jack helps
Jack
color in what his father drew.
Ah. You guys are a good team. Look at how pretty that is. Good work, Jack. I love it. And father of Jack. That's phenomenal. And you guys wrote me a letter, which I am going to need to read a little bit later because it's long and wonderful, but I promise I'll read every word. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. A patron question from Carl Ugri, and I probably butchered that. Sorry, Carl. What's keeping you from getting an Ackie monitor? Also, there's usually debates regarding the use of clay in substrates, excavator clay generally, with many saying that clay will stick to reptiles' toes, causing them to fall off. Is there a difference between excavator clay and standard clay found in low-grade topsoil?
All right, so thing number one, what is keeping me from getting an Ackie? They're too expensive for me. I've been in graduate school all this time, and I just haven't had Ackie money. But and I don't anticipate myself becoming a breeder of Ackies, and so that has been what's been holding me back. When it comes to your question about clay, that is a great question, and honestly, excavator clay is one of those things that I want to look into more, and so I'm not going to be able to give you a good answer right now. But we are planning on doing some more tank builds in the future, like the one that we did for crested geckos before, but for various different species. And I will definitely be researching excavator clay quite a bit. And I appreciate the concerns that you brought up, because those are things that I'll research as well, and I'll try to get you a good answer then. I apologize that I don't have a better one now.
So a couple of super chats.
Super chat!
Michael Cameron says, any tips on handling jeweled lacerdas?
Oh, yes. That's something I've been working on myself. The first thing, I just upgraded the size of the enclosure for my jeweled lacerda, and he's been more nervous since he's been in there. But the biggest thing, I noticed they're smart, and they're a lot like a tegu, a little bit like a monitor, but a lot like a tegu as far as their behavior. And so the biggest thing is going to be to not do anything while handling them that really disturbs them, or that they, where they have a terrible experience. I would say the place to begin is with feeding. And while feeding, I would use tongs so they don't associate your fingers directly with food. But use tongs and make feeding an experience where you two bond. As time goes on, you'll notice you can reach out and start petting your jeweled lacerda while it's munching down a worm or whatever. And this is something I'm actually doing with my nightingale. Is I'll use the tongs and I'll pull them back, and so he runs down my arm to get the food. And so, after a while, and this is, like I said, is what I'm doing with my nightingale. I'll have it where the only way that he gets food is when he comes out onto my arm, and then after a while, handling is a normal thing that he experiences. It never involves me chasing after him like a predator trying to grab him from above, but just him climbing up into my hand and getting food, and then little by little he won't get food every time. There'll be intermittent reinforcement, and we'll have a great relationship. That would be my tip for monitors and basically any really intelligent lizard that doesn't seem to like handling right now.
Garrett Smith says, "Hey Clint, I'll be getting a young ball python and currently have a 40-gallon with a lot of clutter.
Okay.
Is it unwise to start with this large of a tank?"
I will tell you, in a big tank like that, you have the potential for issues that you probably wouldn't have if you were using, say, a smaller tub. But there are reasons that people like a larger tank like that for a ball python. So I'll go over a few of those issues. One of them is going to be that your snake won't feed. And your clutter is going to help with that a lot, because it's going to allow the snake hopefully to find a small area where it feels comfortable, even though it might feel uncomfortable if it were forced to be out in the exposed open of that big tank all the time. The next thing is going to be humidity. And humidity for ball pythons, depending on where you live, it's hard to maintain proper humidity for a ball python in a glass enclosure of any kind. And so you may have the potential for bad sheds, maybe even respiratory issues. I would recommend, as a way to solve this, to have one or multiple, maybe a cool side and a warm side humid hide, essentially like a shoebox with a hole big enough that the snake can crawl in and out. That's got a lot of like damp but not saturated sphagnum moss, even paper towels, something like that inside, so that it has a humid retreat to in which it can go, and then just make sure it's got access to a water bowl as well. You just keeping a ball python in a tank of any kind is more complex, and when it's such a large tank, there's just the possibility that the snake could feel stressed. But it sounds like you're doing your best right now to alleviate that, and mostly just be attentive to your snake and how it's doing.
Let's switch back over to patrons at Patreon. Pillar Heslin asks, "What do you think about dwarf versions of big pythons and boas as pets? Dwarf versions of big reptiles in general.
Mhm.
Are there many that you would recommend as pets? Are they consistent in dwarfism or consistently available for a regular pet owner? Do they tend to have associated health issues?" Lots of questions.
Yeah, these are good questions, though. So a lot of times the dwarfs, like the dwarf boas and the dwarf reticulated pythons, they're localities of the snake where the adult size is much smaller. So they're not like a morph. They're just a locality, a naturally occurring small population. The key with these, as far as consistency, is how much you can trust your source that they're actually 100% bred from stock that comes from that locale. Because if they have crossed into their genetics, the mainland population, the true giants, they're probably going to turn out to be pretty big. And when they're babies, it's going to be very, very difficult to tell the difference. So that's the biggest place as far as where that might vary. As far as how they do, I mean, the giantness of giant snakes is both a pro and a con to those giant snakes. If what you like about those snakes is their basic look and personality, then in a lot of ways, those dwarf locales are perfect, right? Because you get that look and that personality in a snake that is nowhere near as unreasonable. At the same time, the reason that a lot of people want giant snakes is because they want a snake that is a giant, and they don't have that. So, that's simultaneously a pro and a con. To me, that's generally a pro, but it kind of, in a lot of ways, defeats the purpose of getting like a reticulated python, which I personally don't want one at all. And a dwarf locality would be much more tempting to me, and I think to most keepers that are being realistic about the logistics of owning a giant snake. But for the people that want a giant, that's gone. Woo! Sorry.
Fan mail.
This was something that was hand delivered to me at the expo. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's a pair of water bottles, and one of them is just blank, so I can probably write on it anything I want to. But the other one says, "Too rad to be sad," and I adore this. This is the greatest thing, and I have honestly been looking for a water bottle, and so I'm going to use these all the time, and I'm so grateful. I wish I remembered your name better. If you're here, comment. I remember your last name was Radeski, which is totally rad, correct? Okay, thank you so much.
A couple super chats.
Super chat.
From Remman700. Why do you think rosy boas are not more popular than they are?
Oh, I almost bought a rosy boa on Saturday, because they are wonderful. Why aren't they more popular? I would say there are many things. There are a lot of situations where you've got two fairly similar animals that kind of come into the hobby at different scales. And one of them is huge and the other's not so big. One of them that really comes to mind for me are leopard geckos versus African fat-tailed geckos. Leopard geckos are everywhere. They've been everywhere. African fat-tailed geckos, pretty uncommon. And really, as far as how they are as a pet, there aren't. I mean, while they're not exactly the same, like one of them's not head and shoulders better than the other. A lot of times, one just comes into the hobby first and kind of gets a foothold, and the other one's like, oh, there's that, but it's not a leopard gecko. And we've been working with leopard gecko morphs for 10 years, and they're just bigger. Some things can be difficulty of breeding and care and stuff like that. Rosy boas, I know for me, there's been a lot of question about, do you need to cool them in the winter or not? How important is that for their longevity? So that's one thing that, I've wanted to have figured out before I got one. They have a reputation for being a little bit bitey, and it seems like in a lot of cases, while I've seen some that are just absolutely phenomenal, in a lot of cases that reputation is well earned. And so, people might be concerned about that more than they are with Kenyan sand boas, which I would say are the alternative to a rosy boa that a lot of people have. But another thing is that they're a native snake, and that restricts, in some places you can't own them because they're native to that area. It's just a lot of little complications that the Kenyan sand boa, for example, doesn't have. But generally speaking, I mean, they're awesome, and we will cover them in the near future. Beautiful, beautiful, amazing snakes.
Okay, Alexander Cortez says, "Make the chicken video, you coward."
You coward. Yes, it has been for fear of the pushback we might get from a chicken video that we've avoided it. I think we will. We sure had an incredible response from the peregrine falcon video. I just, I go big or go home, right? Peregrine falcons are the coolest animals in the world. I will tell you, we are planning some more bird videos. We're not going to just suddenly become an all birds channel all the time, but we are going to cover some more birds. And don't be shocked if chickens pop up in the near future.
Rice Patty with 2 eyes says, "Clint, I just love you and your energy so much. I like reptiles, but I really enjoy watching your videos because of you. You're the best. Thanks for your vids."
Well, thank you so much. That makes me feel just extra good. I'm obviously too rad to be sad, but now I feel super glad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Shotgun Shane 15 says, the family and I are Mondo fans. Greetings from West Virginia."
Well, thank you so much. Good to see you guys. I'd like to go out to West Virginia sometime. Can we meet in an expo, perhaps?
Woody83 says, "Do you think a Dumerils boa or a BC longicauda would be a good first boa? If so, which do you think would be best?"
You don't have a boa and you know about both of those. You are so cool. You're so cool. So one of those that he's okay, I will tell you right now. You know how I love boas. And he just mentioned probably two of what I think are the three coolest looking boas. One of them is the Suriname boa, which is neither of the ones he just mentioned. But what is his name again?
Woody 83, but the picture is a girl. So
Okay. Well, I was imagining Buzz Lightyear's friend, but all right. The Suriname boa is just gloriously beautiful because of the colors, right? But actually, I would say the two that you mentioned are my two favorites. So the Dumeral's boa has such a cool pattern; it's unbelievable, and they make really good pets. And I'm going to cover them in the near future. It seems that they have a propensity for being a little bit bitier than are like your common boas. That's not to say they're terribly bitey. I do have a friend though who had one and they hadn't had any issues with it, and it just bit him right on the face, and he had like a tooth embedded in his nose for a while. Chad, if you're here, hi, I'm talking about you. This is Chad Healy, his wife Mariah. The two of them run Reptiles. So if you want really good care sheets, check out Reptiles on a lot of things. In fact, I bet they have one on Dumeral's boas. The Peruvian long-tailed boa, which is the other one you mentioned, almost nobody knows about those. And when you see them as babies, they look like nothing special, right? They look kind of like a bland-looking common boa. But when you see them as adults, unbelievable. And they're a smaller locality of boa constrictor. So they're true boa constrictors. They're a smaller locality. I would say care real similar to a common boa, but everything's a little bit smaller. That seems like a great choice. Great choice. You just do your homework on either of those, and you can have really great success. I love them both.
Let's switch back to patrons at Patreon. Asura asks, how big was Gus Gus when you got him?
Gus Gus. So Gus Gus, when we first picked him out, he was probably, I don't know, a little over a foot long. And a friend of mine had him for maybe a month or two. He was trying to decide if that was the right pet lizard for him, and Leisha and I already decided we wanted him, but we said, hey, you can try him out first and see if you think he's right for you, and we have him now. And so he was probably, I don't know, less than 2 feet when we first had him. And he's a lot bigger than that now, and stinking rad.
Another patron, Sherry LBW, asks, if you could go on an all-expense-paid herping adventure, where would you go and why?
All-expense-paid herping adventure. Man, I narrow it down to a few. One of them would be to the Amazon. I lived in Peru for 2 years, but I lived in the desert, southern Peru. I saw very few things that were alive. And the Amazon would be a dream come true. I would love to go there. I would love to go to Eastern Australia more than anything so that I could go to Australia Zoo, which is a place I've always dreamed about going. But I would also love to just wander out into the outback and see what can be seen. That would be a dream come true. New Zealand, which is a place I'm going to get to visit soon. Not all expense paid. That would be much better. But I am going to get to go to New Zealand shortly, and that is a place that's so cool because except for bats, they don't have any native mammals, which means things like birds and insects and reptiles have kind of filled all the mammal niches, and I would love to explore that. Now I got to pick one of these three. Oh, and then there's the Galapagos, which I just recently learned we may get to visit with Dave Kaufman, our good friend, in the near future. There's a lot still to be determined about that, but that would be a dream come true. And so as it stands, I just want to go to Earth and I want to see all the reptiles. Is that so much to ask? That's my question for you.
All right. A super chat.
Super chat!
Alice Nance says, how are you doing, Clint?
I am doing so well. I really appreciate you asking that. I will tell you, getting ready for these live streams, so fun. You know, before the last one, it was I didn't even know what to expect from it, but I had such a great time with you guys. I've never seen Jason so excited ever as he was after that live stream. It was a blast, and so it's just nice getting to chat with you guys. This is one of my favorite things. I love what I'm doing right now. I've got a lot of little stresses in my life, but life throws those at you. I'm trying to figure out my future and all these things, but more and more I'm prioritizing doing this as my future, and this would be a dream come true. So I'm doing really well, and thank you so much for asking.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. This is the big one. I better put him away.
You'll need 2 hands.
Yeah, this is a 2-hand package. Okay. All right, so this package comes to us from our friends at YouTube. And this is why, even though we haven't received that much fan mail just yet, we had to do our first ever mail opening today. I have not seen this yet, so here we go. All right, comes with styrofoam and a letter of authenticity, which means if you want to fake your own whatever's in this package, which I can already see, you need cardstock. And something. Oh, it's so cool. Ba-ba-da-da. This is all because of you guys. Presented to Clint's Reptiles for passing 100,000 subscribers from YouTube. I hope you can see this in the mirror, because that's you guys.
It's a button.
It's our silver play button. I didn't know how I would feel holding this, but I have the chills all over to be sharing this moment with you guys, because this is 100% because of you guys. The reality is, when we started this channel, it was so that our 3 families could maybe raise enough money to occasionally get an Airbnb and have a fun weekend away. That was our big hope and dream with this channel, and because of you guys and the response that we've had from you and the encouragement that we had, especially when the channel was new, we were getting so much positive feedback that it pushed us to just keep going and going. I mean, you have no idea how much work goes into a channel like this and how little return there is. I mean, we're putting in tons and tons and tons of hours every week, and we were making no money. But you guys kept telling us, this is great, please keep going, we need it. It was a humbling thing very early on in our channel for me to realize that, gosh, if we stop making videos, there are thousands of people that would be really sad. I can't believe what has happened with this channel, and it's all because of you guys. And I just want to say thank you. You've changed our lives. We're the dreams that I have now because of what you guys have made possible for us. They're different and they're magnificent, and I'm so excited for the future, even though I don't know what it holds and it could be a little scary. This is a big milestone, and thank you guys for making this possible.
Do you want to change your answer for Alice Nancy, who asked, how are you doing?
I'm doing even better. I'm doing so great. Look at this. This is amazing. I can't believe this has happened. What a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Awesome.
Would you like to hold it?
I want
I have a question for you guys about this thing, which is, what should we do with it? What does one do with it? I'm not gonna do like the guy did who cut it open, right? This one means a lot to me. But
should we, put your answers in the comments. Put it in the chat. What should we do with the silver button?
While we're talking about that, I want to let you guys know something that is a secret we've had here at Clint Reptiles for a very, very long time. It's actually been ever since we changed this set. We started changing one thing in the set every video since we changed the set. And nobody has noticed. Not one person. And it's been a long time now. And we finally decided the time has come to let you know. We'll see if you figure it out.
Let's catch up with some super chats.
Super chat!
Michaela Krempa. I'm sorry. I suck. All right.
Hi, Michaela.
I have a snow rosy boa and love her, but she does bite me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm more nervous holding her. Any tips on getting my confidence back? Confidence.
I am the wrong person to ask about this because I do not like to be bitten by snakes, right? And sometimes my solution is I hold other snakes more often. One really important thing to notice about the bites is they're not that bad, right? I mean, it doesn't hurt that bad, and so a lot of it is probably going to just be building up your nerve and deciding in advance how you're going to respond, not if it bites you, but when it bites you. And this isn't like a lizard that you can entice with food and use food to bond with it. You sort of want your handling sessions and your feeding sessions to have nothing to do with one another. And so largely, it's probably going to be a matter of, we just released a video on how to reduce the probability of a bite, do all of that. But on top of that, you've probably just got to accept the fact that it's going to bite you for a while. And after a while, it's going to get used to the fact that you're not trying to kill it. And it's going to stop doing that. And that's just part of the reality of working with this snake. And I wish I could give you more comfort than that.
So Woody 83 commented again.
Welcome back.
As a super chat.
Super chat.
Come to the Reptile Expo here in Colorado this weekend. Also, Woody is my hubby's nickname, who you helped get over his fear of snakes.
I did? Oh, that makes my day. I would love to come to the Colorado Expo. In fact, I did go to an expo in Colorado last year. I probably won't be able to make it to this one, but I will be at Tinley here in a couple weeks. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you guys there. We'll be sharing a booth with Dave Kaufman and I think Emily from Snake Discovery. I think she's going to be there at the booth with us. And I don't know who all else. Dave knows everybody. So I'm just excited to meet everybody because I've probably mentioned this before, but when I started graduate school and when I moved here to Utah, I, at that point in my life, still had zero reptile friends. Zero friends in my whole life that were really into reptiles. There was one kid when I was in elementary school who liked garter snakes. So that he was kind of a reptile friend, but we weren't that close. And then I had a friend who was really into frogs, my friend Bobby. Not reptiles, but I liked frogs a lot too. And that was as close as I ever got. And suddenly I have all these reptile friends. I have a lot of them here in my local reptile community. And then you guys, gosh, I got a whole plaque full of you guys. There's 100,000 plus of you guys. That boggles my mind. And I'm looking forward to meeting as many of you as possible.
Noah Nettle says,
Noah Nettle.
Yes.
I was Noah Nettle.
Hi, I'm trying my best to get a black and white tegu, but I'm worried about the enclosure. Can you recommend the cheapest enclosure to build or buy?
Yeah, it's the cheapest is going to be to build it. Here's what you're going to need. The cheapest way to build it actually will be to make it 8 feet by 4 feet. A lot of people recommend like 6 feet by 3 feet as the minimum for a tegu. and that might be fine. But I definitely, I currently have 8 feet by 4 feet, and I'm planning to increase the size of his enclosure in the future. And one of the reasons to do 8 feet by 4 feet is because you have less need of a table saw if you build it 8 feet by 4 feet, because that it tends to be the size that big boards come in at the hardware store. And so you can get some 8 foot by 4 foot boards. And what I did was I built a structure of 4x4s and 2x4s, and then I attached them to the 4x8 boards. You can usually get them to do some cuts at the hardware store for you. So just design out your enclosure first, and you're essentially building a giant wooden box. If you built it 8 by 4 by 4, then you need to do a very limited amount of cutting. And then you put the glass in, you attach your light fixtures to the top. This works, and it works really well. That's probably the cheapest way to do it. I will tell you, though, if money is really, really limiting, a tegu, for as wonderful as they are, might not be the best choice. It might be better to go with something a little bit smaller, like an Aki or a jeweled Lacerda. But, I get it, because tegus are phenomenal, and everybody should have one. Just make sure it's not going to put a major financial strain on you, because you don't want to end up having to rehome it a year down the road, because that's just a tragedy.
Katie Ellis says, I love your channel, and I'm so happy for an educational reptile channel that's fun to watch. I'm so proud of your channel growth also. Congrats.
Hey, thank you so much. That kind of feedback, I cannot tell you how much that has done for this channel. That's why we're still here. So thank you so much.
I'm going to butcher this name. Milady Class says, hey, Clint, could you do more videos on birds?
Yes, we will. I'm not going to go crazy, because there are some people who are super anti-bird videos. But, birds are cool. Birds are cool, and they are reptiles, as upsetting as that is for many people who love Linnaean taxonomy. So we will be covering birds. Expect that. We actually do already have at least one more bird video filmed and coming in the near future. So stay tuned.
Grind the Tooth says, my blue tongue skink is very active under my red. Then he says, not actual red, yellowish, grow lights for plants. Why? She doesn't care for the blue-white light at all.
That's very interesting. I don't know. I'd need to do some experiments to try to figure that out. If they're grow lights for plants, they might be producing a pretty broad spectrum. Something else, I'm just hypothesizing here. One of the things is you are throwing out a strange spectrum of light, perhaps, with those lights. And so the whole world might look pretty different. And so the skink might be exploring a lot, because it's trying to figure out this place that it doesn't recognize. These are my hypotheses.
Let's see. Sierra S says, I just wanted to thank you for your informative videos. I got my first reptile, a Kenyan sand boa, and I absolutely love him.
That's a very excellent choice. I'm excited to hear that, and thank you. Keep us updated on how he's doing.
Jeremy Young says, do you have any videos on egg-eating snakes, or have any plans for one in the future?
We have one video on egg-eating snakes at the moment, and that video is our 5 more of the best pet snakes you could possibly get, featuring Emily from Snake Discovery. And so we had her egg-eating snakes on there. I will cover them when I get the opportunity. I don't come across egg-eating snakes that often, generally speaking, unless you have access to finch eggs, like a constant supply of finch eggs. At least a baby egg-eating snake is going to be pretty difficult. I mean, they sound wonderful. They sound like they're solving all the problems with snakes, but actually getting food for an egg-eating snake is kind of complicated. But if you keep quail and finches, and you've just got lots of eggs from those 2 birds, suddenly they become pretty reasonable.
Let's see. This is another super chat.
Super chat.
Matt Harnat says, there is a Savannah monitor that needs rescuing at my local herp society. I know they aren't great pets, but I want to rescue him.
Okay. That's the way to get a Savannah monitor. Absolutely, 100%. I'll let you know right up front that Savannah monitor has probably been fed a high-fat diet. It's probably been kept at too cool of temperatures and in too small of an enclosure. As a result, that Savannah monitor probably has early onset fatty liver disease, and it probably will crash and die for you within the next 2 to 3 years. It could be with months, you know. So that's the reality. But what a wonderful service you could provide for that monitor by giving it a wonderful life for however much is left. So I appreciate you doing that very much. While we're on the subject of monitors, can I show you one we have here today? It's a teaser for what is coming soon. But this is too good not to show you. By the way, don't go out and buy one of these until you've seen the video. It will be very tempting. Check that out. For those of you who don't know what this is a green tree monitor or emerald tree monitor, which is absolutely, okay, let's face it. Monitors are the coolest lizards on the planet, except maybe chameleons. The only place that chameleons beat the snot out of them is in glorious coloration, until you come to the tree monitors, which totally hold their own with anything on the planet. So beautiful, so special. Definitely not for everyone, but we'll be explaining that here in a few weeks. What an amazing beast. All right, I'm going to put him away for a second. I had to show you that. How special is that? That's super special. Okay, that's enough. Prehensile tail. It wasn't enough. Okay.
Nathan's lovely video says, I now want a green tree monitor now.
Yes. Okay. Don't do that. That's what people do, which is why we're going to make our video. People get a green tree monitor now, and they don't have a green tree monitor anymore. Okay? So wait for the video.
Liam says, in a past vid, you said you had a primate. What is it?
Oh, I introduced you. I gave you a little update in our last live stream about all of my primates. And right at the beginning, so you don't have to watch the whole thing to see it. But I strongly encourage you to. I brought all of them. I have 3. Well, 2 that are basically pets, and one that basically keeps me as a pet. And you should check that out in our video. But they're great. I strongly encourage them, but man, they're a lot more work than any of my reptiles.
Hannah Hayes says, I love your channel. Can't wait to meet you at Tinley.
I'm so excited to see all of you guys there. Please, just everybody, just fly to Chicago, go to Tinley so we can meet. I want 100,000 people there to meet. That would be the best day ever, sort of.
Let's see. Somebody just did a super chat just for the kicks, so thank you.
Thank you.
William Brunson says, significant other says, it DM to was it me? Am I in trouble? I have no idea what that means.
It DM who was it me? Am I in trouble? I'm as lost as you are.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, you might be. Watch out.
Let's see. Dane asks rad facts about leopard gecko or African fat tail vid in the future. In fact, one of our patrons keeps hitting that drum. When are we going to do an African fat tail?
Anytime I can find somebody with an adult who's willing to let us borrow it, I would love to do an African fat tail gecko. So if you're local, and you have an African fat-tailed gecko we could borrow, I would love that. What was the first part of that question, though?
Rad facts about leopard geckos.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a great idea. Though I will, people get very upset when I say that leopard geckos come from the desert. They do, but desert is a much broader term than what comes to mind when you think of a desert. You know, people think of it just this barren, sandy wasteland. That's not necessarily it. Like, you know, I've lived most of my life in the desert, and I don't live in a barren, sandy wasteland. I think that would be fun. It seems like in general, people don't watch the Rad Facts videos that much, but I like making them because I like Rad Facts. So stuff like that's going to happen. It's gonna happen. And if you want to see more of them, please let us know.
TJ Exotic says, well, Clint, I am going to chat with you later. Have a great night.
You as well. Thank you. Especially those of you that are joining us at like 2 o'clock in the morning. You guys are stinking rad. And I appreciate having you here. Now get some sleep.
Let's see.
We got to do lightning round, don't we? We're like down to 10 minutes.
They just keep coming in. Okay. Let's see. Alex Schroeder. I'm sorry, Alex. Opinions on Brazilian rainbow boa.
Ooh, we're gonna make a video soon. In fact, I was already supposed to have filmed one, but the person who had the rainbow boa that we were going to use for the video had to reschedule with us. So there will be a Brazilian rainbow boa video in the near future. In the short term, what I will tell you is if you get one, be really, really, really careful with hydration. That's the fastest way to lose one of those, and a lot of people lose them that way.
Okay, lightning
round.
Clint, what is your stance on owning venomous snakes,
Oh.
such as cobras or rattlesnakes? From Ezekiel Barton.
Generally speaking, it's a terrible idea, but they're really cool, and I get why people want to do it, but it's a horrible idea for most people.
Let's see. It keeps scrolling. Cleto5778. Can Gila monsters be held as pets?
Yes, and they're awesome, but their bite is extremely painful if they ever bite you, and it'll wreck your day. But they're so cool. They're so cool.
Beefy Milliman says, can you do a video about Hawaiian curly tails?
Yeah, if I can find one, that'd be awesome.
Let's see. Reaper177 did a super chat and said, hey, Clint, I've watched your videos for years, and it helped me choose 2 of my current reptiles and 1 yet to come. My Aussie water dragon, my blue tegu, and yet to come, my caiman lizard. Any tips?
Apparently, you're awesome, and your life is awesome. My tip is keep being awesome, because I want these things. I don't have all these. I don't have any of those things. My black and white tegu is close enough, but wow, awesome choices.
William Brunson was the one that gave us the confusing.
To clarify?
He clarified a bit. He says,
lightning clarify.
DM equals doesn't matter. Sorry, short word count. Laughing face. Okay.
You're in trouble.
Milady Class says, the guy did his best pronouncing my name. Yes.
Thank you, the guy.
Thank you, the guy.
And then you don't deserve to have your name pronounced right. This is Jason. Jason Mara.
My first name's pronounced Milady. Ooh. Weird name, I know.
But a cool name.
I like it. Let's see. Oh no, my screen went away. A lot of people are excited to see you at Tinley. Let's see.
I'm excited to see you guys at Tinley.
Opinion on hybrids like Borneo bat eaters.
Oh, those are so beautiful. I actually we did a video on hybrid chewies and crested geckos. It's a what do we call it? Crestahua? Best name ever. We made that up. Coined it here first. I talked a lot about the pros and cons of hybrids at the beginning of that video, so that's kind of the long version of my response. There are definitely reasons that they're really cool and reasons that they might not be a good idea.
Sierra S did another super chat. Said,
super chat 2.
Sun conure best reptile thoughts. Did I say that?
Oh yeah, I love them. They're so beautiful, but ridiculously loud. So loud. So we may cover them in the future. I've as I understand it, the green cheeked conure is, well, I don't think it's quite as cool looking as the sun conure, because few things are, It's a very beautiful bird and apparently not so freaking loud. So that's maybe something to look into until we do videos on these animals.
Another super chat from William Brunson, who we keep messing up his stuff. But he says, oh, one last thing, brother. Favorite flavor ice cream?
Oh, my kids asked me this question today, and I arrived at, I don't know, I really like ice cream. It's so good. So many flavors. Today I had a twist cone for $1 at the grocery store with my children, which is something I do several times a week, because that's one of the greatest moments that you can have for $1.
You are wrong. The correct answer is Moose Tracks. Clearly,
Oh, that's a good one.
that is the best.
Well, my interest in ice cream is similar to my interest in reptiles. That may be our next channel. Clint's ice cream flavors.
Sierra S responded about the sun conure, saying, "Oh, I know. I have one here in Utah. LOL."
Well, we might have found our sun conure video. How loud is it? So loud?
Katie Ellis did a super chat and says, "Will you ever do a feeding day video with your pets?"
Yes. Someday. I have quite something planned for you guys in the future, but it's still very early stages. So, yes, we will.
Woody83 is back in the super chat saying, "How's your false water cobra and carpet python doing?"
So great. I think they were both in our video from this last Saturday, and that was filmed very recently. They're doing awesome. They're doing so awesome. They're such cool snakes.
Reaper 1777 is back with, "Thanks to you, brother. You're awesome, and because of you, I have them. Keep doing what you do. I support you for sure. Any tips on Cayman enclosure?" He's the one that had all the super rad stuff.
Just
super rad reptiles.
As big as you can get with an awesome, well-filtered, heated water area, and in a place that they can get out and get dry. And I mean, you know what the basic requirements are. Just do it right and get it all set up perfect before you get your lizard, because you don't know quite what condition the lizard might be in when it arrives.
Super chat from Joe Jacobs.
Super chat.
Thoughts on Dominican red mountain boas?
Oh, they're so cool. I really like the way that they look. I don't know enough about them to give you a really good introduction right now, but I will look into them, especially if I can find somebody that has some. We'll do a video on them. So cool.
Another super chat from Jacob Ledbetter. I got a Savannah monitor after I got used to beardies. Pretty steep jump, I know. Me and my dad built a zoo exhibit-sized enclosure in our basement.
Good. I love that. I'll be totally honest with you. I have never seen a zoo that gave a Savannah monitor adequate space. And so give it a lot of room, give it a lot of heat, give it a relatively low-fat diet, let that thing really run, and that's probably the best chance that you're going to have high-level success with the Savannah monitor.
Tons of insects.
Tons of insects, tons of space, tons of heat.
Let's see. William Brunson, also on Super Chat, said, chat number 4.
Number 4.
I like giving you money.
Thank you. You are the best. We really appreciate it. It does a lot for this channel.
Let's see. Owen Dillon also did a super chat. Let's see. It is, I think he's saying it is 1:50 a.m. here in Ireland. Bearded dragon, a 7-foot Asian water monitor, puppy dog tame, baby black and white tegu, harder to tame than I thought. After 1 year research, love him, adult veiled chameleon at 14. I guess that's all his reptiles.
Holy smokes, you got some serious creatures there. Yeah, Asian water monitors. We're gonna have a video on those very soon. They're like giant puppies, with all that would go along with that. It's marvelous.
Kelly Howell in the super chat said, "My husband and I are huge fans of your channel. So excited to see you at Tinley. Getting a new snake there. Should we get a ball or woma python?"
The answer is yes. Yes. You should get a ball or woma python, and whichever one strikes you at that moment and you're prepared for. if at all possible, I would recommend a ball python and a Wilma python because they're awesome.
Let's see. Photoshop Productions asks, "Hi, I'm thinking of getting a leopard gecko. Any advice?"
Highest scoring lizard we've ever done, so they're great. The biggest thing is be careful with your substrate choices so that they don't lose toes. That would be my big pro tip.
I_Kielu said, "I have a pair of Abronia gramínea." I probably butchered that.
Arboreal alligator lizards.
Oh yeah, that's right. "I got because you showed it on your channel, and I love them. Thank you for showing me them and all the other reptiles and animals on your channel."
They're amazing, aren't they? Any luck breeding so far? I don't know how big yours are. Let us know. Keep us informed.
Shai sent a super chat.
Super chat.
"Can't wait to see a video on your blood python.
Oh.
Love from Nebraska."
Did you see the blood python in last week's video? He's getting big. And when I watched that video, I'm like, he might be big enough now that it might be time to do that video. So stay tuned. It could be soon.
Milady Class did another super chat to make sure that I pronounced it correctly.
Yes!
For the third time.
Super chat.
She says, "My name is pronounced like how they'd address royal women back in the day." Milady.
Yes, my lady.
Let's see. Snoopy Sniper says, "What colored Ackie monitor would you rather?" Which
Okay.
you are actually going to address.
I will address that question soon.
This coming week.
This coming week?
No, not this Saturday.
Oh,
next Saturday.
10 days.
Yes.
10 days we will be covering that, but I'll give you a short view. I like the red coloration of the reds, and I like the pattern better of the yellows. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not satisfactory, that.
Fishy Boy X says, "Do you like arachnids?"
Yes, I do. Quite a lot. I love arachnids.
Let's see.
Should we cover some?
What is your? Let's see. Scuba Diver Derek says, "What is your worst snake bite?" You've only had 3, so what was the worst one?
Okay, so the least worst one was definitely the first one, which was rat snake. That one didn't even break the skin. The false water cobra and the Puebloan milk snake, they were both, while I was in front of groups of people, both of them drew blood. Both of them, there was some itching. Neither of them were very severe. It's really the bites the bites from small colubrid snakes. None of them are bad. I was most concerned about the false water bite because there's so many conflicting reports about how severe the venom is. But how it actually was if nobody told me it was venomous, I probably wouldn't have thought twice about it. And so none of them have been bad. My worst bite in my history was from our dog, our Alaskan Malamute, which, when I was 2 years old, sent me to the emergency room. I needed facial reconstructive surgery because it was on my face. That's my worst bite.
Super Tux sent a super chat and was just super nice. Thank you, Super Tux.
Thank you, Super Tux.
A lot of people are asking about Gus. What's the latest on Gus?
He's awesome. I think we just had a video with him in it not very long ago, because he's a stud. He was at the expo on Saturday, and he's the man.
Jacob England did a super chat, said, "Will you do a video on green sailfin dragon?"
Yeah, if I can find an adult that we can use for a video, I will totally cover sailfin dragons because they look really cool, but I see almost nobody with them, and I need to get to the bottom of that. So let's do it.
Let's see. People are excited about arachnids. Hey Clint, if you had access to a captive born and bred Chinese water dragons, would you get one? I breed them. See you at Tinley. This is Alex's Agamids.
Totally. Maybe not right now, but soon. I'd want to have an enclosure set up first, and I don't know where I would put it at the moment, but I've got some plans. And so Chinese water dragons are cooler than you can imagine. It's just the imports don't do well. They're so incredible. They're like a monitor bearded dragon hybrid, which is how much better could something get than that? They're amazing. Yeah, I would love to have it. I love them. They're beautiful. Yes. Yes, I totally would. I totally would. I'm excited to see you. Make sure you come over and tell me who you are. Show me some. Sure, if you have a big, burly adult male Chinese water dragon, I just want a picture with you.
GLAP
G-Lap.
said, do you have more amphibian vids planned?
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. In fact, I almost did one today.
And opossum.
Opossums are awesome.
What are your thoughts on opossums?
In the state where I live, they're illegal for importation. You can own them inside of the state. I want an opossum a lot. Like, except for their short lifespan, they're basically the best pet mammal I think that you could possibly get. They're so amazing. I really, 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 really want an opossum. At the very least, I want to hang out with an opossum here and tell you guys about opossums and marsupials and why metatherians, the marsupials, are generally outcompeted by the eutherians. I need I just for educational purposes, I need an opossum. It's one of those things that must happen.
Epic King Edward Water Lettuce sent a super chat that says, "Are gargoyle geckos a subspecies of the crested?" Which we kind of talk about that a little bit in our.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. No, and yes. Species are very difficult to define in a way that is consistent, that you could like see fossils and know if they're the same species at the same time as you could see living organisms and know if they're the same species, or if you could compare a skeleton that you found to a live animal. It gets really complex. And one of the species complexes, or one of the species concepts that is probably the one that people think of most intuitively, is the biological species concept, which mostly has to do with whether or not they can produce viable offspring together. And I believe that they can. So by that species concept, they would be the same species. Though by most other species concepts, they're different species, where they're classified as being different species, but they can hybridize. And I believe that their offspring are viable. I know some of the New Caledonian hybrids are. So technically no, but also technically yes.
Okay, we've been going over, but let's hurry.
Okay,
Andrew,
few more lightning rounds. We're having so much fun. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Andrew Bunting says, "I have a question. I have a 75-gallon vivarium idea that I want half shallow water and half land. What kind of lizard would be good with a setup like that?"
Depends on your budget. There are quite a few. We're actually going to have a video very soon, spoiler, on the Chinese crocodile lizard, which is not an inexpensive lizard, but it is an amazing lizard. 75 gallon, that'd be marvelous for one of those. There are quite a few other good options, and we'll be talking about some of them down the road.
Owen Dillon did a super chat and said, where the Cuban false chameleon video, I have been here 3,000 subs, and could you do your 10 dream pets and tegu taming video?
All right. I think those are all great ideas. As far as the false chameleon video, honestly, the only reason we haven't made it yet is because I've got them all the time, and we've had so many amazing animals coming our way lately, and so many requests. But that's like the top of my list of animals that I have that we must do a video soon. So expect it soon.
Katie Ellis is back in the super chat.
Welcome back.
Thoughts on ringneck snakes and Decay's brown snake?
I think they're both really cool. They're both kind of smaller colubrid snakes, which makes them fun, but kind of in a, you'll probably also want a bigger snake sort of a way, because they're not that great for handling. And for me, that's one of the best parts of having a snake. But I love them, and we should cover both of them. That would be cool. Ringneck snakes for sure.
Stephen Shepard did a super chat that said, should I save the alligator lizards in my backyard from being eaten by my neighbor's cat, or leave it in the wild?
Oh, well, I mean, you could leave them in the wild and save them from the cat at the same time. I strongly oppose leaving cats out in the wild. There have been a lot of studies where they put a GoPro on a cat and see what they do. And what they do is they run around and they kill stuff all day long. Just so much, thousands of animals a year they kill. And alligator lizards are one of the coolest animals on the planet. So I think you should, if they're in a situation where they're going to get killed by a cat, get them out of that situation and move them somewhere nearby that's safer from the cat would be my recommendation.
Reaper1777 is back with the super chat saying Scott Corning at selfindragons.com has been breeding them for a long time, and he also produces Aussie water dragons once a year. I'm sure he would love to feature a sailfin dragon on your channel.
We'd love that too. So let him know if you can get one here. We'd love it.
Edvin, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but he says any care different regional sand boas, Kenyan and Russia.
Rough scale. There's a ton of different sand boas, and I actually, I have a friend. He actually owns Animal Ark in Orem, Utah, and he keeps a ton of different species of sand boas. Also, Great Basin Serpentarium keeps a number of different sand boa species. I've thought about doing a video just like, kind of almost like a top 5 list, but just showing off a whole bunch of sand boa species that you might not know about. Well, let me know if you think that's a good idea, but that'd be fun. We should cover a bunch of sand boas because there's more than just one.
Amen. Koram. Wow. What are your thoughts on toad-headed agamas?
Oh, they're so cool. They need it really hot, and I can't seem to find anybody that has them captive bred, at least on a regular basis. But just an awesome lizard. So cool.
Fraser Pickle Pie is back with the super chat that says, what is your opinion on intervening with sick wildlife? I'm intrigued to know as an ex-wildlife volunteer.
That is a great question. In a lot of situations where we can help, you gotta make some assessments, right? One of them is, what is the cause of the problem? If humans are the cause of the problem, then we really, I think, have a responsibility to do what we can to help the wildlife out. On some level, animals are going to die, and that's just part of nature. And so sometimes you can let it go, I think, but it's hard to watch. A lot of it also probably depends on the importance of that individual, and I hate to have to score stuff, but I'm an ecologist by training, and so if it's an ecologically really important species that maybe is threatened due to habitat loss, things like that, I think we need to do everything we can to preserve every individual that we can. Some other animals that are maybe overpopulated or introduced species, I view differently.
Let's see. Are there any dinosaur movies you enjoy other than Jurassic Park? Any favorites or suggestions? This is from Muriel Schaefer.
Dinosaur movies I enjoy other than Jurassic Park, because that is an easy question if Jurassic Park's included. They're all documentaries. This is how I grew up, was watching dinosaur documentaries. I had this one narrated by Christopher Reeves, it was Superman, and we got it, I don't know, from the library one time, and I watched it. We had to get it from the library all the time because I watched it just over and over and over and over and over and over again. It was the greatest thing ever. But as far as fiction movies, I don't know any that are very good, but I'm open to suggestions. I'd love to hear about some.
Let's see. We gotta wrap it up soon.
Okay.
But
this has been so fun.
A few super chats keep popping up. So Carl Ugri, who is a patron on Patreon,
Thank you.
who we already answered a Patreon question, but he threw in a super chat that says, opinion on the Borneo earless monitor lizard.
Really cool. I would say, unless you are a very experienced lizard breeder, don't get one. Most of them are imports. I don't know how stable their wild population is. They're such a reclusive lizard that I don't think we have a very good idea what their population is even like in the wild. And this is one of those animals, like the dragon snake, that we could we could potentially drive to extinction because of our desire to have them in the hobby. The other issue with them is just that they're a little bit fragile and they're super reclusive. So if you have one, you would know that somewhere in this box there's a really cool lizard, but you'd probably never see it.
So maybe we should go until we run out of super chats.
Okay.
We got 2 on deck. So
Thank you, guys.
Owen Dillon says, and I have a CB Chinese water dragon. Could you do a video on purely best advanced lizards? And what your opinion on big named pet band having say iguana? I'm not sure what that last part means.
Where is it?
It's scrolled already.
Okay, so
let's just answer the first part.
A video on advanced lizards.
Yes.
That sounds like fun. I'd have to be very careful about how I did it, so that I would be really clear that these are not good pets for most people. And my hope is that, generally speaking, like there are lizards we cover on here that I say they're terrible, and for most people they're terrible. If you are a really advanced keeper, you can probably handle it, and you know what you're getting yourself into, and you don't need me to tell you you can handle it. I'm glad you enjoy our videos, but I'm not really targeting you, and I'd hate to send the wrong message. But it would be like a someday or just a top 5 really cool unreasonable pet reptiles. That might be something we have to do in the future.
Super chats just keep coming in.
Oh, dear.
Darren Maddox says, decided to get my first snake next year. Settled on a blue-eyed Lucy ball python.
Excellent.
Love your guys' videos. Hope you and the team have a great day.
Thank you so much. And I love your taste in snakes. You see my photograph back there? That's of Sinatra. I love the blue-eyed leucistics. You're in for a treat.
William Waddis says, your videos have inspired curiosity about the natural sciences that I never found when taking those classes in school, and I hope you and your team will make more videos about science, even if the algorithm doesn't want you to.
I appreciate that encouragement, because the algorithm does not encourage us to want to make more science videos, but I enjoy making them and talking about it because this stuff is so cool, and it is a tragedy that people suck the fun out of it because it's the coolest stuff in the world.
Okay, we have gone. Oh man. Okay, just kidding. Sierra S snuck one in at the very last.
Well
second.
played,
Thank
Sierra.
you again, Sierra S. Thank you, Clint and team. Have a splendid night.
Hey, thank you guys so much. It's been wonderful seeing you. I love doing this, so I think we're going to keep doing them periodically. Thank you for supporting us. We love you all, and we hope to see you real soon.
Send us fan mail so we can have an excuse to do this.
Yeah, we just have a little bit of fan mail. So if the fan mail really starts pouring in, we'll start doing these on a very regular basis, and that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. Thank you guys for being here.